Ozonics Killerwinds podcast back again. Episode 50, baby.
Big 5-0.
We are hustling.
Yep.
I'm Cole Tanner.
I'm Nick Simon.
That's who we are.
That's our names.
Yep, that's what we were born with. Okay, so with being episode 50, we got a little special something. So we are going to be giving away an Ozonics hat, or 2 or 3. Haven't really decided yet.
We'll see what happens.
But there's only going to be one winner. But we're going to say during the episode, so this is really for full episode listeners.
Yes.
If you just watch micro clips, you're out of luck.
Yep.
Right? You know this full episode. Who knows? We might say it in the middle. We might say it at the end. I'm not really sure. It's almost like a radio morning show giveaway, kind of. Yep. But on the pod. So.
For the big 5-0.
Yep. For the big 50. And who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe more than one hat. But it's only going to be one winner. Yep. Okay. Let's get into it. So, today we're talking turkey hunting.
Yep.
Last week we did an episode of turkey hunting. Kind of a season's here. Let's get ready to rock and roll.
A little bit of a recap of last year.
Yep. Season is in full swing right now. Mm-hmm. So when this episode airs, season 2 will be over. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Almost the end of season 2, the last day of season 2.
It'll be almost the end.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact dates, honestly.
Yep. But it's getting to be almost the end of season 2 when this episode airs. So, and right now, as we're recording this, we're in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had a pretty good youth season. Like I said, it's funny because youth season 10 years ago was really probably about the first time I started doing it because I took Mia.
Yeah.
She was the first one. She shot a Jake with me.
Yep.
That was my first kind of introduction to youth hunting with turkey hunting. Before that, it was just never even a thought. I was just always like, it was that first, whatever, Monday in April. You know what I mean? Whenever Easter was, it was the next week. But youth season has been kind of a fun thing, like I said, to get the kids out. And it does give you a little bit of intel on what's going on and how the turkeys are acting. And like you said, I took Friday off work. Like I said, it's youth season is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Friday, Saturday looked like it was going to be really good. And then Sunday was going to be rainy, windy, cold, drizzly. So just kind of figured out, it's like, okay, we'll make Friday, Saturday the big days. And hunted on Friday. My brother-in-law, Justin, and me and Justin took Jet and Marshall. And Marshall was on the gun first. And had a pretty tough day.
Yeah.
We've talked about on the previous episode, we got a whole pile of trail cams set out to try to just really kind of, in whatever way, shape, or form you can pattern turkeys. That's kind of an oxymoron because you can't really pattern them.
Yeah.
The one thing you can count on is you can't count on anything. They really will do whatever they want to do. They don't seem like. But in these last couple seasons, I've been able to use trail cams as a way to go, just to give me that little tidbit of like, okay, that's where they were yesterday morning. They were there the day before. Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
Or it really helps me see where they're moving into. Even yesterday, we've talked about on the last podcast, you have a couple cams that are on the north side of this river.
Yeah.
And they have been slow. I mean, I haven't had turkey there all spring. And sometimes not seeing something is intel too, because it tells you where you should go. Because some of you are like, man, should we go give that spot, a shot? Like, I don't know. And just yesterday in the afternoon, there was a nice tom kind of all bristled up, walked right by. It's like, okay, well, that's nice to know.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, they're starting to move through there a little bit. And so the funny thing is, though, is this year, I feel like the inconsistency of what the turkeys have been doing, they've really, I don't know, they maybe listened to the pod because they stepped up their game.
It's crazy.
I feel like they're one step ahead of me.
Oh, man.
Because I thought Friday for sure, we've got the spot we call it the top field, and it's like, okay, that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
They were in there thick the day before. It just seemed like everything on paper was like, well, that's where we need to go.
Yeah. Really thick all spring since we put.
Yeah.
It's for sure been our best spot.
Yeah.
Trail cam wise.
And we got out there early. I mean, if you've never hunted with me, you can ask Nick. I'm not a go out there in the morning. I'm a go out there in the middle of the night.
Yes. Yes. Cole likes to go very early.
There's a story that I always tell. my neighbor Jerry lives right beside me. He does a lot of spring turkey hunting. Well, he hunts like an hour east of Clear Lake.
Yep.
And there was one time that he called me. He was laughing. It was spring turkey hunting in the morning. I was already set up. So I had already gotten up, loaded the truck, drove to Quick Star, got something to eat, drove to my spot, hiked all the way in, set up the ground blind, set up the deeks, was sitting in the blind, taking a little siesta. And my neighbor Jerry called me because he drove by my house and my truck was gone. And he still had to drive an hour to where he was going to go. And I was already set up in the blind, like taking a cat nap. I mean, the stars are out when I'm walking in. You know, it's like, if the stars aren't out, you're not out there early enough. That's kind of what it seems like for me. I like to be early. I don't want to be late. I don't like to be late.
Yeah.
And so when I think, like, when you first started hunting with me last year during turkey season, you're like, oh, so we're going to go at what time? So it's usually pretty early mornings.
Yeah.
And again, is that a little bit overkill? Yeah. But again, I don't know. I don't want to leave anything to chance.
Yeah.
The variable of them seeing us, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
A lot of times with the ground blind, especially bow hunting and or youth hunting, you're not sitting up in the most, tight quarters. You may be sitting kind of on a fence line or on the edge of a tree line. You're a little bit more kind of open. And so I like to be early. With that all said, we got out there early on Friday morning and they didn't see us. I mean, it was pitch dark. It was pitch dark.
Yeah.
We got set up. I don't even hardly turn lights on. I mean, I use a red light. That's a very dim red light. Even that, you'll see me, like I always try to point the light away from where I think the turkeys are to try not to shine them towards the trees.
Right.
Every little thing that I can do to just be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
So they didn't see us.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they came down and they went the opposite direction. I mean, Justin's looking at me. He's like, kind of like, hey, Joe, sort of think this is the right spot, huh?
Yeah.
He's like, well, what do you do? It's like, that's the thing. They just don't seem to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is we were kind of committed to, okay, let's just sit here let's try to sit here till like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's about as long as you can get the kids to it. Let them try to sleep in the blind right away in the morning. They get up, they play on the phones, they look around, eat a bunch of candy.
Oh, yeah.
We tell random stories and then maybe take another little nap. Mid-morning, one of the things that I was going to say that I feel like I did see work for me during the youth season, when it comes to on the calling side of things, it seemed like I was getting toms to respond to like a yelp cut.
Yep.
Like a yelp, cut, yelp, cut, yelp, like that type of thing. Feel like that was working pretty good where I could get them to kind of shot gobble at that.
Yeah.
And actually on Friday morning about 10:30, we got a tom to gobble back at that from way off. Then he gobbled again a little bit closer. He gobbled again a little bit closer. And he ended up coming out into the field about 150 yards away, walked into like 64 yards. I hit him in the rangefinder out the back of the blind, and he would just not close it.
Yeah.
He was acting a lot like a subordinate tom. He wasn't the dominant bird. He would come on the field and he would strut, but his head wasn't super red. And he would strut, then he would come down, he'd stick his head way up, look around, come back down, walk, strut, come back down. He was just seemed real hesitant.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was excited, but he kind of knew he wasn't supposed to be doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
He knew he was supposed to be doing that, but he probably had already gotten his butt kicked and he thought he was going to get his butt kicked again. And so it just didn't work out on Friday. But then on Saturday, it went gangbusters. The way it worked out, Justin was scheduling stuff. We just wasn't able to make it work. And so I was taking jet and then you came along, which is awesome. And we filmed it all.
Yeah.
We got some really killer video
Yeah.
That we'll kind of share as we're going through this here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just wild. Set up on a place we call the Thicket. And again, trail cams have been coming in handy. We were kind of between two spots, the top field and the Thicket.
Yep.
It's like, which one do we go to? And I really wanted to go to the Thicket kind of both days. But my nephew Marshall, he's kind of had rough luck turkey hunting, and we really kind of were trying to give him almost more of the turkey hunting experience, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully get to see a pile of birds, maybe see him strutting, see him in the tree. And so we could really see that from the top field.
Right.
And so he got to see him in the tree, which is excited about. We get to see one. We did see one gobbling and strutting and stuff. And so that really made his day.
Yeah.
You know, you know, I knew when we didn't have luck on the top field, I told you, I'm like, yeah, we're totally going to the thicket. Like, that's the spot.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we need to be.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we got in there, got set up real early, got all good to go. Unfortunately, that spot, you have to kind of face straight east. So the sun does kind of come beaming in the blind.
Yeah.
So you got to be real careful with movement there. And sure enough, a little before 8 o'clock, and it was right after a yelp, cut, he shocked off behind us.
Yeah.
Not terribly far away. I mean, a little far, but it wasn't faint, but it wasn't close.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, hey, look there. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And yelp, cut again. Boom, hit again. Wait a little bit. Yelp, hit again closer.
Yeah.
And he came, he had to have been right behind the blind.
Yeah.
Where we were set up against this fence line, there's kind of a nice deer trail there where they had been walking. When the turkeys walk by there lately, they've been walking by like nothing but seeing a head.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or just like a head and a beard.
Yeah, they were definitely crossing right there.
Yeah. So he kind of came down through there, and it seemed like that's where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
He got right behind us. You could hear him kind of putting and purring and putting like,
You can even kind of hear him walking too.
yeah, why can't I get through here? Like, what's this thing sitting in the woods right here?
Yeah.
And so then he kind of gobbled off, and you're like, well, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this, you know? And early, like I talked about on the previous episode, I like to do more decoys than less at the beginning. I use Dave Smith decoys. If you're ever in the market for some decoys, Dave Smith decoys are the best.
Yeah.
Got to know those guys at the NWTF show and talk to them over the phone. Great people. I mean, they hand paint all the decoys. I mean, they are the shine and the realism and the size, everything about them.
Yeah, they're legit.
I'll tell you what, the other thing I'll say about them is the durability.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, especially with kids. Yeah. The durability.
Yeah.
But they're great decoys. So I've been running a laying down hen with a humping Jake that actually stakes on top of her. And then there's a rope that you can pull, hook it up to it so it'll actually move.
Yep.
And then I have a standing hen. That's just like a posturing hen. And then I have a posturing Jake that's kind of got his tail kind of back and kind of like a fighting position.
Mm-hmm.
And that Tom was close enough. He had to see the decoys. I mean, he was within 15, 20 yards of deeks.
Oh, easily.
I was moving the rope. He could see it. He knew that it was there. But he kind of gobbled off. Well, then he got a little farther away and boom, another one gobbled.
Yep.
Well, then it was on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is what I think really helped seal the deal is there was hens.
Yep.
You could hear that old raspy hen.
It was really cool to hear the difference.
Yep. And her cadence was more slow and deliberate.
Yeah.
You could tell that she was like, hey, hold on a second, you know? And so then I really kind of switched to try to really cut her off.
Yeah.
Less worrying about what the toms are doing. I feel like early, a lot of what I do is try to call the hens as much as call the toms.
Exactly.
On Friday morning, just so happened that we were definitely calling that tom and he came in, but then he didn't want to commit all the way.
Yeah.
But when you can get him halfway close and you can get a hen to walk towards you, it's just nothing beats the real thing.
Yeah.
And so I really tried to play off that hen, which helped a ton.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's what really helped close the distance and really kind of seal the deal. And before you know it, all of a sudden here walked out this tom. Cheese wasn't but 5 yards from the blind.
Really
I mean, it's
close.
right there.
Yeah.
You can, I think you probably had the GoPro already going. You could see my initial like, there he is.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to get the gun that I have for the kids is a Rossi Tuffy turkey. If you're ever in the market for a youth gun or just a nice little 410, it's a Rossi Tuffy turkey.
Yeah.
Jason Mears told me about it. They're not super expensive. It was $197. I got off Sportsman's Warehouse.
Yeah.
It's a single shot 410. It's kind of cool because it has like two safeties basically. It's got the like a normal like button safety.
Yep.
But then it also has, you have to cock it back.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yep.
But you can't cock it back until you turn the safety off. So, you know, and I don't really let the kids completely understand how that all works. So it basically makes it so they're it's not gonna go off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you gotta kind of really have a sequence of what you're doing. So that tom comes out, boom, right there, and I'm moving, and I'm turning safety off, and I cocking it back and getting jet all ready, and that tom came out. He came right to the decoys, but then all of a sudden, here's another tom. Well, the first one turns back around, goes towards the second one. Well, the second one seemed like more of the dominant bird.
Definitely.
He was the one that strutted. This first one that strutted, he kind of did like a little 3/4 strut, like, oh, I'll stand back.
Yeah.
And the second tom strutted past and came right over to the decoys, came right between the posturing Jake and the breeding pair.
Yep.
And like you said, Jet made a great shot. I mean, that TSS on that 410, holy guacamole, that thing does some damage.
Great setup for anybody, I think.
Oh man, it's really crazy. Like I said, I when I got that gun last year, I bought a bunch of different chokes for it. We just so happened to be at the NWTF show. I'm like, well, hey, this is a great place to buy some chokes. Yeah. So I bought like 2 or 3 chokes, like extra full choke, a full choke, all these cool, really neat chokes from a couple different people that I spent some time talking to.
Yeah.
And dude, at 10 and 20 yards, I mean, it was incredibly tight, like incredible. And these guys had patterned them, right? So they knew they had all the sheets out to like 80, 100 yards. It was unbelievable to see what the pattern was like that far out.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actually went back to the modified choke that came with the gun because even that was still tight, but I didn't want it so tight that you could miss.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, with the kids, I still wanted it to be a little bit big.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you're listening to this and you're kind of wondering what I'm describing here, the big thing when I say TSS is that means it's tungsten.
Yep.
Right. So there's really 3 different types of turkey shot. You've got lead, which is generally what most guys are familiar with. You've got steel, which is what you'd have to use on public land.
Yep.
And then the big thing these last few years has been the tungsten. So the idea and what makes tungsten so awesome is that it's heavier than steel and lead. So instead of having, let's just make up a number, instead of having 25 BBs in a lead 12 gauge, you could have 75 BBs
exactly
in a tungsten 410.
Yep.
It's smaller, but just it's smaller shot, but more and heavy. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you can have a lot more to take up a lot less space, but it's the same weight as this one over here that's less shot.
Yeah.
And what that equals out to is unbelievable patterns, and that shot really reaches out, right? Just like on an arrow, you lose velocity, right? With an arrow, when the arrow goes out of that bow, the minute it goes out, it starts to slow down, but you don't lose mass.
Right.
The weight always stays the same. And that's what can be tricky about turkey hunting is when you start to get out there 40, 50, 60, 70, all of a sudden it just doesn't have the gumption.
Right.
You know, but on that TSS, it really does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, because it still has the mass, you know, when it's out that far, it's still hitting with a punch.
Oh, yeah.
And
it
so
hits with a punch for sure.
Oh man, and it
It's
just railed that turkey, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. We're filming with a 200 to 600 millimeter lens, a really cool lens that we were fortunate enough to get. And then shooting at 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
And even at that,
it's still pretty quick.
oh man, it's not like you can see the BBs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still like when it hits the head, it's hitting the ground behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's unbelievably fast, but you can see that turkey's snoot just go completely vertical.
Yeah.
And it comes back, his head just jerks to the left, comes back before his body even reacts.
Yeah.
I mean, he was dead.
Yeah.
Boom. I mean, he
like that.
he crappie flopped.
Yeah.
But he was dead.
Yeah.
You could see the holes in his neck when we walked up on him. I mean, he didn't even have time to bleed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was dead.
Yeah.
That guy was dead.
Yep.
But like I said earlier, the Dave Smith decoys are pretty tough. So I just got that Rossi last year. And the year before, so not Jet's first and second, it would be his third and fourth. We had some toms come in, and it was just a real kind of tight situation. That was my first year with those Dave Smith decoys. And at that time, I had the posturing Jake and the hen. I've since added the mating pair. Well, it was kind of a tight deal, and again, in the heat of the moment, you're like, I don't care if you shoot the decoys, just shoot them. Like those can be replaced. Get the bird, like, I said that to you even. I'm like, don't worry about the decoys. Like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about the decoys. I am worried about the decoys, but and I guess a little bit of it's kind of like a badge of honor. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But needless to say, even in the moment, I could see that Jet totally shot the decoy. Didn't mean to. It was just that the tom was in front of the decoy.
Yeah.
And it was just off to the right, our right, and just peppered the side of it.
Yeah.
And it does. So that posturing Jake's got BB stuck in it to this day.
Oh, yeah.
The first, after that happened, I was all like self-conscious about it. I took like a black marker and tried to like paint over them. I'm like, it's just what it is, it is. I don't know. Like, you still could see them today, right now. Well, last year, you can hear me on some of the videos. I can actually put that. I'm like, don't shoot the decoys.
Yeah.
Don't shoot the decoys. That's not part of it is I don't want to shoot the decoys. And the other part is I don't want that to be a thing for Jet to be like, just shoot the decoys. Like, don't shoot the decoys.
Yeah.
I tried to teach him too, And so he did good last year. And then needless to say, you can see on the video the mating pair.
Yeah. Kind of caught it a little bit.
Actually, he looked good though.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah, I think me and you, we went and looked at it.
Yeah.
Because I think you had kind of, right when he shot, I think you thought that he maybe kind of hit it. So we were looking at it, and there was like a couple little scuffs. Not bad at all.
Yeah. But yeah, so like you said, and just like that, Jet had turkey number 7, I said to you when we were out there, when that all happened, it's interesting. And there's so many things that I love about turkey hunting. I said on last week's episode, I love how exciting turkey hunting can be. It's the 2 F's. It can be really fun, and man, it can be frustrating.
Yeah.
And it can be so feast or famine. You feel like you've got it all figured out. You can't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And the next day you go out, or the day before you went out, and you're like,
what is going on?
We can't buy one of these things.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't even know where they are.
Is there even a turkey in the county?
We're driving for 40 miles up and down this river, and we can't find a turkey in the field. Like, where do they go? Like, how do they all know not to come out?
Yep.
It's like, what the heck? So I love that part. It's just such a challenge.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think is really cool, and I said this to you, and then we were in the blind after he, killed that bird, is it's interesting how you can experience new things. Even you feel like you're a veteran turkey hunter. You feel like you've kind of been around the block. You got an idea what's going on, and then all of a sudden you see something you haven't ever seen before.
Yeah.
And that's what happened next.
Yes.
When he shot, there was the 2 toms. Well, the other one jumped up, flew in the air, came right back down, and he came back over like he was on fire.
It was unbelievable.
Wasn't it? He beat the living tar out of the Ted turkey at first.
Yeah.
Stood on him and, did some inappropriate things.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to just beat the living crap out of that posturing Jake.
Yeah.
He did not like that.
It was unbelievable.
For 20, 30 minutes?
I think we looked back at the footage, and I think it was closer to a half hour.
Jeez. I mean, and just, you could hear him purring, putting and purring, and stick his neck way out and just spurring the daylights out of that thing.
Pecking him. And
pecking him. It was just, and you could see that he had a couple chips out of the paint.
Yeah.
It's funny, Dave Smith Decoys actually sells, you can buy extra paint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could buy paint.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because things like that happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just get pecked at, and things like that. But no, it was really something. I think it was a nice little learning thing for Jet too, because he wanted to just jump out.
Yeah.
And that's so much of the time what I usually do.
Yeah.
If it's just one turkey, especially with a bow, you shoot it, you jump out and you go grab it.
Yeah.
And it's fun in the excitement of it, even with Jet, just to run out there and high five.
Yeah.
I kind of we had to be a bit more subdued because didn't really want to bump him off there.
Yeah.
But it was really something.
Yeah.
But then again, and then it's funny how now the script has been flipped again. From the guys I know have been out thus far in season 1, it's been tough sledding.
Yeah.
It's been really, really tough. A buddy of mine out this morning, he's like, can't even find them.
Yeah.
They aren't gobbling on the roost. They aren't gobbling on the ground.
Yeah.
Heard a couple of hens yelping. Pretty tough sledding.
And our cameras are telling us the same thing too.
Exactly.
It's been a slow couple days camera wise as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I said to you after that on Saturday, and I joked with Justin about this too, I feel like early part of turkey season, youth season and season 1, it's almost like revving an engine.
Yeah.
You know, vroom, vroom, vroom. You're hoping that you hit it during the rev.
Yeah, yeah.
But when it comes back and idles back down, that's where you see these ups and downs.
Right.
Vroom, vroom. And as we get into season 2 and season 3, that engine starts to kind of more purr.
Yeah, exactly.
And just kind of idle more steady.
Yep.
But right now it's just this real revving up and revving up and revving up. And it revs up, but then it revs back down.
Yeah.
And you just never know when you're going to hit the rev up or rev down. And we've kind of seen both of it.
Yep.
First day we were definitely kind of on the, just engine had just been started. Then all of a sudden it revved up and boom, they were just, there they were, and here we go. And if we would have had Bo with us or Wyatt or Marshall, we would have doubled up.
Yep, exactly.
Holy cow, 2 killed right now. Look at that.
Yep.
And then your other guys that are going out during season 1, it's like, man, dude, feels like it's a little early yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And that's just like yesterday. Cameras were on the top field. There was turkeys out there from 6:47, 6:50 in the morning till almost 8 o'clock.
Like nonstop.
Nonstop, all day long.
Yeah.
Tom strutting. You think they get tired,
Yeah.
but they don't. They just strutting all day.
Yeah, I think in like one picture there's like 4 or 5 strutters.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, drove by at lunch. We counted like, 10?
Yeah.
A couple hundred yards off the road. Just stand there like
Crazy.
no care in the world.
Yeah.
You could have been like, wave your hand in the air. They would have just stood there.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like it's still just revving up a bit.
Yeah. Another thing that I was kind of thinking about, and that I know that me and you talked about, it was really interesting on Saturday to see how those toms came in and really only targeted the posturing jake.
Yes, great point.
They didn't do anything with the either of the hens. They didn't do anything with the mating pair.
Nope.
And even after it was all done, when he killed the one, that other tom didn't even think about going over to the mating pair or the hen. It was always just the posturing jake.
He was all over that posturing jake, all
Yeah.
over it. And honestly, if I got a chance to get out, like I said, with archery only tags, it can go the whole season.
Yeah.
If I were to go out right now, again, season 2 is going to be when this, or almost end of season 2 and season 3.
Yeah.
If I were to go out, I wouldn't probably even take the mating pair right now.
Right. Yeah.
I think that they're still in the establishing that pecking order. The toms are still fighting it out.
Yep.
I mean, you could definitely see that on Saturday. Those two, man, they came in looking to fight that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after the one was laying there dead, the second one, he still wanted to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
He had to fight until we had to finally go, okay, dude, like emergency clock, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Go away.
Yeah.
It was just like he didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're listening to this, I would say a hen or a posturing jake or a strutter, you know what I mean? Like I talked about before, a lot of times early, it seems like you see them flocked up, and a lot of times too, the nice one, when you bring them all, you kind of see what works.
Yeah.
Yep. And it seemed like last year and the last couple of years, early I bring more. As the season goes on, I bring less and less. And a lot of times I am with just a single hen.
Yeah.
Where they are really keying in on those hens and really walking in on a hen.
Yeah.
But right now they are all over that posturing jake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because in last week's episode, we were talking about, in the beginning, bring more. And then you made a comment, you saying it's the 20-60-20 rule. There's always going to be outliers.
Yes.
And having that experience would have forced an outlier, because we're not going to be bringing more the next time we go. It's going to be less. It's not going to be that mating pair,
Right. And like you said, the thing that I always say too about like a mating pair decoys is if you're out there turkey hunting and you see a tom mate a hen, probably a good time to bring a mating pair.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty simple.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it seemed, last year was actually one of the first times in since as long as I can remember during the deer season where I watched a buck breed a doe, like mount her and breed her.
Yeah.
That's just something that I don't usually see. I mean, I know it happens, see him chasing all the time.
Yeah.
But her to actually stand there and he mounted her and bred her.
Yeah.
But you see toms jump on hens a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it gets to be that time. And so if you're seeing that, when you see a tom step on her back and do what he does, those other toms, man, they come running.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Yeah, we don't have. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to go any further. Everybody
Yeah.
knows the birds and the bees.
Yeah,
But everybody's looking for some action. Let's put it that way. And so they'll come running.
Yeah.
And so that's really when. But again, the way this spring has laid out, I didn't really know what it was going to be like. It felt like it was just. It's been so warm. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, are these hens going to be ready to start doing their thing and sitting on nests and so, but yeah, so like I said, I'll definitely probably just be bringing a posturing Jake and hen and try that.
Yeah.
And see, get that to work again.
Right.
Because again, with all of them out there, they didn't give it, they were like, well, we're not even interested in that right now. And that was even a look like a subdominant
exactly.
bird, right? It was like a Jake, short little stubby beard on that humping Jake.
Yeah.
So that's even more of a big no-no from a turkey perspective, right? Like you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
It's only the toms are supposed to be doing that. So a lot of times when they see that, they really come huffing over.
Yeah.
And they just didn't even care.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like it wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And that other hen too. It was literally like, we don't even care that you're here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but it's really interesting. Hey, I think we get to the little special section here.
Perfect.
Little special part.
Let's do it.
The episode 50 surprise is, if you're listening to this, if you DM us on Instagram or leave a comment on YouTube, we are going to pick a winner and you're going to get some Ozonics hats.
Yes.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yes.
They give you a little variety.
Yep.
I'm more of an unstructured guy. I like these unstructured hats. You're more of a structured Richardson, whatever number you like.
PFP 112.
There you go. I'm more of an unstructured, like dirty old hat type guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll send a couple options, maybe a little variety.
Yeah.
But yeah, leave a comment, leave an Instagram, DM, tell us, I don't know, hey, congrats on the episode 50. How about a free hat?
Yeah, exactly. That's all it's got to be.
Maybe, please.
Yep.
Maybe something funny. We'll pick a funny one. We can't just pick it. We have to randomize it.
Yeah, it's got to be random.
It would be funny to pick a funny one because then who knows, maybe somebody'd have a good joke. But
yeah, exactly. We'll figure it out.
We'll just figure something out. But yeah, somebody's going to win.
Yep.
So anyway, back to the podcast.
The
other thing I think we want to talk about today, got to stretch.
You're good.
And we've talked about this during the deer season, taking youth hunting. And I talked about it then. Spring turkey hunting is a great time to take youth out.
Yep.
But here's the other thing I'll say too. It's a great time to take youth out, and it's a great time to take somebody that wants to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I said at the beginning of the year, my couple big missions this spring is I'd love to get Jettis 2 again.
Yep.
I'd love to get Bobo 1, and I'd love to get you 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you've got a buddy that wants to get into turkey hunting, like the way I turkey hunt, it takes a little bit of gear. You got to have a ground blind, you got to have some deeks. There's just more to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Running a gun with a shotgun, you just kind of need the shotgun.
Yeah.
And probably the same camo that you wear in deer hunting.
Yep.
But still, with that said, it does feel like a little bit of a barrier to entry. And a lot of guys just don't have the experience.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to turkey hunt. What am I supposed to be doing? You know what I mean? And so if you've got a buddy that's looking to get out in the woods or wants to go, take him. Again, youth, it's so awesome. Especially they give them 3 days.
Yeah.
That they're the only ones that are out there. The other cool thing, the way that Iowa has it set up with youth season is, and we actually looked at the legality before we did the podcast today to make sure that we were straight on this. So, and I knew it, but I just want to make sure we were right. And there's just a little tidbit in there that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So the youth season is 3 days. If you buy a youth tag before or during youth season, you can hunt the youth season.
Yep.
If you don't fill that tag during the youth season, that youth tag can be used any of the 4 seasons remaining.
Yep.
If they fill it, that youth tag during like season 1, 2, or 3, or if they fill it during the youth, okay, I'm trying to make this as clear as I can. If you buy a youth tag and you don't fill it during the youth season, that youth tag is good through 1 through 4.
Yep.
You can also buy a second tag for season 4.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
But if you read the regs, if you don't buy it during youth season and it gets into seasons 1, 2, 3, or 4, then they can buy tags like just a normal hunter.
Exactly.
So it's advantageous to buy the youth tag before or during youth season.
Yep.
Too late for that now.
Yep.
So you would have to pick. Now you'd have to pick 2 or 3 or 4.
Unless if you do bow only.
Unless you do archery only.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, that's right.
Yep.
That's the other little tidbit in there.
Yeah.
Is if you buy a youth before youth or during youth and they don't fill it, they can use it all 4 seasons. If they don't have a youth during youth and they just start hunting after and they buy a tag, you have to pick 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Exactly. Yep.
Or you can get an archery only and just hunt all the way through.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And I think you could, if you didn't get a youth tag and you did archery only, you could probably buy 2 archery onlys.
Yeah, I think so.
Just like a normal hunter.
Yeah,
at that point you're just a hunter.
Exactly.
You're not a youth hunter.
Yeah, the way I read it is, once it gets to a certain point, no matter what age you are, it's just the same as me and you buying a tag.
Yes.
Same decisions, same.
There you go.
Same everything.
Absolutely. Whoa. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moral of the story is man, everybody's got a friend or a buddy or a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, somebody that's got kids that are probably playing on an iPad right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Take an opportunity to get them out there. It's a real fun thing.
Oh, it's so awesome.
I've even been razzing my father-in-law. He sees how important hunting is to Jet and how important it is to me.
Yeah.
I've wanted to just take him out one time.
Right.
It's like, hey, Doug, just come on. Like, just go sit with me one morning. Just see it. Like, just be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to Jet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great time. And again, you don't have to freeze your butt off.
Exactly.
I mean, even this weekend, it was a little chilly. It was like in the mid, there's 30, 28,
like
30.
Right away in the morning.
Yeah. And then it warmed up to like
right
50,
up. Yeah.
So it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Bring an extra blanket, sleeping bag, something you can curl them up in. I tell you what, I hunt with a Mr. Heater a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's a little cush, but it's sure nice just to take that little bit of a bite off.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
Yeah, it's really, really handy.
No sense in freezing to death.
Yep. And you know what's funny is there was a lot of years that I never even thought about doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that until really a Jet started hunting when he was 4.
Yeah.
That's when I started doing it. And man, it's been a game changer since then. It's not like those Mr. Heaters break the bank to buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, if you have an opportunity, take a youth out hunting. Man, I like I said, I have talked about this a lot on previous podcasts. The hunting that I did with my grandpa and how important that was to me as a young guy.
Yeah.
And some of the times that I remember spending time with my uncles, going golfing, doing things like that when I was a kid. So, but yeah, like I said, last year was your first first turkey hunting experiences and filming.
Yep.
And we had a pretty awesome year last year.
Yeah.
And we got some really, really epic footage that we felt really, really good about and super proud of.
Yeah.
And you were able to produce it and make some really neat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Started out the year pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty.
If we go up from there, wow.
I don't know how we're going to.
Well, and I'll tell you what, and maybe this is getting too far into the weeds, but even the way we kind of filmed it on Saturday, we're like, you know what? It's a weekend. You know what? Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
It's youth season. You kind of joke, you're like, man, it'd be cool to get like just a head just exploding from a gun,
Yeah.
before. And be like, yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Well, check that off the list.
Check that off for sure.
But we filmed it on the 200 to 600 millimeter, and you were zoomed up.
Yeah.
The f-stop, or the depth of field, how you'd like to say it if a guy that doesn't understand what I mean by that, meaning how much of the area is in focus is a little bit larger on that.
Yeah.
So you can zoom it up and you could just really know that if you're focused, you're focused.
Yeah.
And so when both those toms came in, it was just mint focus.
Yeah.
We actually set a GoPro like right up on the deeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have gone on maybe a little bit closer, but when you get so close, those decoys with those point of view cameras, you're really pot committing to either, like I said, when we were setting up, I'm like, well, he's either going to walk right by and it's going to be epic, or we're going to get nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he couldn't have walked in the more perfect spot. Sun was glistening in the background. I mean, we actually have this like audio mod for the GoPro that really steps that up
and
to another level with the audio.
Yeah, because it's the GoPro media mod, but then we put a Sennheiser mic on it.
Yes.
And that Sennheiser mic is just unreal.
Yes.
And we literally, like, the main reason that we put that out there with the Sennheiser mic is just to pick up all that natural just noises that they make, because it seems like they're kind of always just making putting purred and stuff. And man, it worked really well.
Yes,
the audio was really cool.
Oh man, yeah, it just worked out great.
Yeah.
So like you said, it was awesome to see it all come together.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I feel like that is a theme about turkey season.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you spend a lot of time waking up early, driving out to your spot, hoofing in there, setting stuff up, thinking about where you're going. And it's so awesome when it just all lines up.
Yeah.
And it lined up in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. It was a pretty perfect way to start the season.
Yep. And, you know, turkey number 7 for Jet. I think it's funny because year to year, as years kind of pass by, you know, I just remember little tidbits of like my own turkey hunts, you know, like when I see pictures, I'm like, oh yeah. But man, I'll tell you the things that I remember most now when it comes to turkey, I could tell you every detail of every one of Jet's turkeys.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I mean, play by play.
Yep.
You know, it's just wild.
And again, that's why youth season is so important.
Yes.
Because you get that. You get that opportunity.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, I say we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like I said, turkey season's in full swing. Obviously, if you've listened to anything of me talk about turkey hunting, I love turkey hunting. I'm an avid turkey hunter. I think it is a great time of year. We are in it.
Yeah.
We are in the turkey tornado. It's an F5 right now.
Uh-oh.
I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get too riled up. I'm going to get riled up.
Yeah.
But if you're out there hunting, good luck. If you get something, send us a DM. We'd love to see some pictures, or like I said, get a hold of us some way. Hopefully you're out there. Aim small, miss small. Hey, end of podcast. Episode 50 in the books. Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Thanks again for listening. Good luck out there. Shoot some turkeys.
See you next week.
Stay classy. United States of America.